Mark Douglas thought he had cracked the code. Standing on the Chicago Board of Trade floor in 1982, watching millions change hands in seconds, he felt invincible. He had the knowledge, the connections, the confidence. He was going to be rich. 6 months later, he stood in an empty house, staring at the space where his furniture used to be. The repo man had taken his Porsche that morning. His wife had taken the kids yesterday. His bank account had been empty for weeks. He had lost everything, not to the market, but to himself. What happened next would change trading forever, because in that moment of absolute devastation, Douglas made a discovery that would eventually help thousands of traders avoid his fate. But first, he had to confront a truth so uncomfortable, so ego-shattering, that most people would rather lose their money than face it. The market wasn't the enemy. He was. After his collapse, Douglas became obsessed with one question: why do traders fail? He started where you'd least expect, with a simple visit to the Merrill Lynch office managing accounts for the Chicago Board of Trade. 38 account executives, all short professionals managing hundreds of wealthy clients. Douglas asked the managing director a straightforward question: how many accounts are consistently profitable? The director shifted uncomfortably. Define consistently. Fine. How many have made money for more than 4 months? Long pause. Then, none. Douglas blinked. None? Out of hundreds? Every account we open is gone within 4 months, sometimes 3. These weren't desperate gamblers betting their rent money. These were sophisticated investors with access to Bloomberg terminals, professional research teams, and cutting-edge analytics. They had everything they needed to succeed, except the one thing that mattered most. Douglas descended to the legendary trading pits, where fortunes were made and lost in the time it takes to sneeze. Here, surely he'd find the winners, the survivors, the masters. Instead, he witnessed something that would haunt him for years. One trader, let's call him Rick, made $3,000 before his morning coffee got cold. He watched him pump his fist, grinning ear to ear. By lunchtime, he'd lost it all, plus another $2,000. His face had gone pale, his hands trembling as he took panicked positions trying to get it back. The next day, Douglas arrived early. Same trader, same pattern. Made money early, lost it by lunch, then hemorrhaged more trying to recover. How long has he been doing this? Douglas asked another trader. Every single day for 8 months. 8 months! The same self-destructive loop, day after day after day. That's when it clicked. Douglas realized he wasn't watching a trading problem, he was watching a psychological crisis playing out in real time, disguised as a profession. The market wasn't beating these people, they were beating themselves, using the market as the weapon. Through years of observation and brutal self-examination, Douglas identified 5 distinct psychological prisons that every trader must escape. Think of them as levels in a video game, except you can't use cheat codes and losing costs real money. You discover trading through a sponsored Instagram post. Some kid with a rented Lamborghini claims he made $10,000 last Tuesday while eating breakfast. The comments are filled with fire emojis and "DM me for the strategy." Something stirs inside you. This could be it, your ticket out. You open a trading account. The interface is sleek, professional. You feel like a hedge fund manager. You download TradingView, add some colorful indicators you don't understand, and place your first trade. It goes up. You made $50 in 3 minutes. Your heart races. You do the math. $50 in 3 minutes is $1,000 per hour. That's $8,000 a day. You stop calculating because the number seems impossible. But you just did it. You just made money. It's real. You text your friend, "Bro, I think I found something." That night, you can't sleep. You're already planning your resignation letter, imagining your boss's face when you quit. You'll be trading full-time within 6 months, a year tops. This is prison 1, the dream. And it's the most dangerous one, because it doesn't feel like a prison. It feels like freedom. The bars are invisible. made of hope and ignorance. You're confident because you don't know what you don't know. You're swimming in the ocean, thinking it's a bathtub. Week 2 hits different. That strategy that worked doesn't work anymore. The indicator that was never wrong, wrong 4 times in a row. Your account is now red, not just one trade, but overall. You're down 15%. You watch a YouTube video, the only indicator you'll ever need. You add it to your chart. It doesn't help. You join a Discord group. Everyone's talking about a different strategy. You try 3 in one day, all losses. You start noticing something strange. The market seems to move against you the moment you enter, like it can see you, like someone's watching your screen and hitting the "screw this guy" button. At 2 a.m., you're Googling, "Is trading rigged?" The paranoia isn't crazy, it's your mind trying to make sense of chaos, because accepting the truth is too painful. The truth is, you're lost. Completely, utterly lost. And the market is about to send you the tuition bill. Prison 2 is where most people quit. They decide trading is a scam, blame market makers or algorithms, and walk away bitter. Their accounts are smaller, but their egos are intact. They can tell themselves they were cheated, not beaten. The brave ones, they keep going. But staying in prison too long is dangerous, like being stuck in quicksand, every struggle making you sink deeper. You refuse to quit. You're going to figure this out if it kills you. Spoiler, it might. You buy a $997 course from a guru with 100K followers. He promises the secret institutional strategy. You learn about order blocks, liquidity grabs, and smart money concepts. Your charts now look like abstract art. It doesn't work. So you buy another course, and another. You join 3 paid Discord groups, 4 Telegram channels, and subscribe to 5 newsletters. Your browser has 47 tabs open, all promising the real answer. You try everything: scalping, swing trading, options, forex, crypto, futures. You have indicators for momentum, volume, volatility, sentiment, and phases of the moon. Your strategy documents could fill a library. But your account? Still stuck. Or worse, shrinking. Here's what's happening. You're collecting knowledge like weapons for a battle, but you don't realize the battle isn't against the market, it's against yourself. You're suffering from what Douglas called external solution syndrome, the belief that the answer exists outside you. One more book, one more mentor, one more strategy, and you'll finally get it. But you can't get what you already have. The answer isn't in another indicator or strategy, it's in the mirror. Prison 3 can last decades. Douglas met traders who'd been learning for 15 years, still searching for the Holy Grail, still convinced they were just one discovery away. The exit from this prison is painful. You have to stop. Stop searching, stop learning, stop collecting, and start looking inward. Something breaks. Maybe it's your 3rd blown account. Maybe you trade away your savings. Maybe your partner sits you down and says, "This has to stop." You hit bottom. Not the market bottom, your bottom. And in that moment, something shifts. For the first time, you stop asking, "What's wrong with the market?" and start asking, "What's wrong with me?" This is the most important question you'll ever ask, because the moment you own the problem, you can fix it. You start journaling after every trade, not just what happened, but how you felt. You notice patterns. When you're angry, you overtrade. When you're scared, you exit winners too early. When you're confident, you ignore your stop loss. The market isn't random, your emotions are making it seem random. You begin removing things. You delete the 15 indicators, you leave the guru groups, you stop watching trading videos. You find one setup, just one, and you commit to mastering it. Not perfectly, but consistently. You rebuild your rules from scratch. I will risk only 1% per trade. I will place my stop loss immediately after entering every trade, no exceptions. I will only trade one specific setup pattern, nothing else. I will journal every trade. Simple rules, but following them, that's the work. Day by day, you keep your promises to yourself, and slowly, painfully slowly, you begin to trust yourself again. This is Prison 4, the breakthrough. It's not about finding the perfect strategy, it's about becoming someone capable of executing any strategy. Few reach this level. Those who do often don't talk about it, not because it's secret, but because it's hard to explain. You're no longer trading to win. You're no longer trading to be right. You're trading because it's what you do, like breathing. Losses don't hurt anymore. Wins don't excite. They're just data points in an infinite series. You've internalized a truth that most people never grasp. The market owes you nothing. Every trade is a probability. Some win, most lose, but over time your edge plays out. You're not predicting, you're responding. You're not controlling, you're adapting. You're not fighting,
You're not fighting, you're flowing. This is Prison 5, except it's not a prison anymore. It's freedom. You stop being a trader and become trading itself. Let me tell you about James. Douglas met him at a trading conference in New York. James was worth $8 million. Self-made, brilliant mind, respected in his industry. He drove a Mercedes, wore a Patek Philippe, lived in a penthouse, but he couldn't hold a winning trade longer than 20 minutes. "I don't understand it," James confessed over drinks. "I can see the setups perfectly. I know it's going higher, but the moment I'm up $500, my hand moves to close it. I can't help it." Douglas asked him to close his eyes. "Tell me about your father." James stiffened. "What does that have to do with anything?" "Just try." Long pause. Then, "My father worked in a factory, assembly line, came home exhausted every night. I remember being 7 years old, asking for a new bike for Christmas. He looked at me and said, 'Who do you think you are? Kids like us don't get things like that.'" "And?" Douglas prompted. "And I've spent my whole life proving him wrong." "But?" James's voice cracked. "But every time I make money easily, like really easily, like trading, I hear his voice. 'Who do you think you are?'" There it was. James wasn't closing winners because of strategy. He was closing them because making money too easily triggered a deeply buried belief that he didn't deserve it. His subconscious was protecting him from guilt, from betraying his father, from becoming someone his 7-year-old self would consider a traitor to his roots. The market didn't care about James's trauma, but James's trauma controlled his every click. This is what Douglas called the ghost in your account, the invisible hand of your past, reaching into your present, sabotaging your future. Every trader has one. Maybe yours is about money. Maybe it's about success. Maybe it's about deserving good things. Maybe it's about proving you're smart. But until you face your ghost, it will haunt every trade you make. Douglas would start his seminars with a simple question. Raise your hand if you want to be right more than you want to make money. Every hand stayed down. Nobody would admit it. Then he'd say, now raise your hand if you've ever held a losing trade longer than your plan because you didn't want to admit you were wrong. Every hand went up, slowly, sheepishly. That, Douglas would say, is wanting to be right more than you want to make money. Here's the brain bender. Imagine Trader Sarah in Trader Mike. Sarah wins 85% of her trades. She's known as the accurate one. Her friends call her for predictions. Her ego glows. Mike wins only 30% of his trades. He's wrong more than twice as often as he's right. After 100 trades, Sarah is broke. Mike just bought a Tesla. How? Sarah makes $100 per win, But when she's wrong, which she hates admitting, she holds the loser until it hits minus $1,000. She can't accept being wrong, so she gives it room to come back. 85 wins times $100 equals $8,500. 15 losses times minus $1,000 equals minus $15,000. Net, minus $6,500. Mike makes $1,500 per win. When he's wrong, which happens a lot, he immediately cuts the trade at minus $150. 30 wins times $1,500 equals $45,000. 70 losses times minus $150 equals minus $10,500. Net, plus $34,500. Sarah's need to be right destroyed her. Mike's acceptance of being wrong enriched him. This is what Douglas called the probability thinking, and it's the hardest mental shift in trading. Most people are playing checkers, one move at a time, trying to win each game. Professionals are playing a different game entirely. They're casino owners. They don't care if the next customer wins or loses. They care that over 10,000 customers, the math works in their favor. One trader told Douglas, "I don't trade individual setups. I trade a system over time. Any single trade is meaningless, just noise. But 200 trades? That's a sample. That's data. That's my edge." The amateur obsesses over the trade. The professional obsesses over the process. After his bankruptcy, Douglas sat in that empty house for 3 days, barely moving. On the 4th day, he stood up and said aloud, "If I'm the problem, then I'm also the solution." He grabbed a notebook and wrote, "Rule number 1, I will place my stop loss immediately after entering every trade. No exceptions." That's all. One rule. He didn't add position sizing, risk management, or profit targets. Just one simple rule. Day 1. He traded 5 times. Forgot to set the stop twice, remembered 3 times. Grade, 60%. He wrote in his journal, "Why did I forget? I was excited about the setup and clicked enter before thinking." Day 2. 4 trades. Forgot once. Grade, 75%. Progress. Day 7. Perfect. 10 trades, 10 stops placed immediately. It had become automatic, like putting on a seatbelt. Now came rule 2. I will only trade one specific setup pattern, nothing else. Again, 1 week of focus. By day 7, he wasn't even tempted by other setups. His eyes filtered them out automatically. Rule 3, Rule 4, Rule 5. Each week, one rule. Each week his self-trust grew. Not because he was winning, he tracked process, not profit, but because he was keeping promises to himself. The first month, Douglas later wrote, "I only made $1,200, but I felt like a millionaire, because for the first time in my life, I trusted myself completely." That trust, not strategy, not knowledge, not market conditions, became his edge. Douglas called it the zone, but that description doesn't do it justice. Imagine you're staring at your charts, prices moving, candles forming, but something's different. You're not analyzing, you're seeing. Not thinking, knowing. Your hand moves to close a position. You don't know why. 3 seconds later, the market reverses violently. You saved yourself from a major loss, but you can't explain how you knew. Later, you review the chart. There was no signal, no indicator, no obvious reversal pattern. You just knew. This isn't magic. It's not psychic ability. It's your subconscious recognizing patterns your conscious mind hasn't processed yet. He compared it to how you can tell when someone's lying, even when their words sound truthful. You can't explain what tipped you off. A micro-expression, a voice inflection, something subtle, but you know. Mastery in any field looks like magic to outsiders. A chess grandmaster glances at a board and sees the winning move. A jazz musician improvises perfectly without thought. A surgeon makes a split-second adjustment that saves a life. They're not guessing. They're accessing decades of pattern recognition stored in their subconscious. But here's the catch. You can't access the zone while afraid. Fear is loud. Intuition is quiet. When you're scared of losing, desperate to win, or attached to the outcome, you drown out the whisper of mastery. One trader told Douglas, "I know I'm in the zone when I forget I'm trading. I'm just there, present. My hand moves, but I am not moving it. It's like watching myself from outside." Douglas identified the 3 conditions required. 1. Zero attachment to outcomes. You genuinely don't care if this specific trade wins or loses. 2. Complete trust in yourself. No second guessing, no doubt. 3. Total presence. Not reliving the past or predicting the future, just here.
When these align, something extraordinary happens. You stop trying to trade the market and start dancing with it. But you can't fake it. You can't force it. You can only create the conditions and wait for it to emerge. The zone isn't a place you go to. It's what remains when you remove everything standing in the way. Picture this. You analyze a trade for an hour. Every signal aligns. You enter with confidence. Price immediately moves against you. Your chest tightens, you lean closer to the screen as if staring harder will make it reverse. You refresh Twitter looking for news. You check if your internet is lagging. Price keeps dropping. "This doesn't make sense," you whisper. "Everything was perfect." So you add to the position. Average down. It has to work. The analysis was perfect. The setup was textbook. The market just needs to see what you see. Price drops more. You're now in deep. Your risk management is blown, but you can't exit. That would mean admitting you were wrong. So you hold and pray. Then it hits your stop loss or margin call, or your breaking point. You exit, shattered, confused, angry. And the moment you exit, price reverses and shoots up. You want to scream, you want to cry, you want to punch your screen. "The market is manipulated," you type in the trading group chat. But here's what really happened. You tried to control something uncontrollable. And in that desperate grip, you destroyed yourself. Meanwhile, another trader took the same setup. Price moved against them. They calmly thought, buyers are stronger than I anticipated. My thesis is invalidated. Click, exit. Small loss, no emotion. They waited, watched. When the picture clarified, they re-entered, this time aligned with reality, not fighting it. Douglas would say, "The ocean doesn't care about your swimming technique. You can't make the wave do what you want, but you can learn to surf. You can't control price. You can't control volatility. You can't control whether this trade wins, but you can control how much you risk, when you exit, how you react, what you do next. That's your surfboard. That's your edge." The paradox is brutal. The more you grip, the more you lose. The more you let go, the more you gain. Douglas would end his seminars with one final exercise. He'd say, "I want you to imagine that you're about to take a trade, but before you click,
A voice from the future whispers, "This trade will lose." What do you feel? The room would shift uncomfortably. Now, imagine the voice says, "This trade will win big." What do you feel? Hands would shoot up, excited, confident, ready. Douglas would smile sadly. Then you're not ready. Silence. The master trader has the same response to both messages. Okay, I'll execute my process anyway. Because the master isn't trading for the outcome, they're trading for the action, the process, the discipline. They're not asking, will I win? They're asking, did I execute correctly? And that's the ultimate test. That's the final boss. That's mastery. He'd pause, looking around the room. The market will never stop testing you. It will offer you everything you crave: certainty, revenge, validation, quick riches. It will press every button you have. Your job isn't to pass the test once, it's to become someone who doesn't need to take the test anymore. Someone who looks at winning and losing the same way. Someone who trades from clarity, not craving. Someone who makes promises to themselves and keeps them. That person, Douglas would finish, is unbreakable. Here's the final truth Douglas discovered. Trading is the most honest game in the world. You can't fake your way through it. You can't charm your way to profits. You can't blame your way out of losses. Every click leaves a footprint. Every decision has a consequence. Every emotion shows up in your P&L. The market doesn't care about your story, your struggle, your dreams, or your excuses. It simply reflects who you are right now, your discipline, your fears, your beliefs, your patterns. That's why it's so brutal and why it's so transformative. Most people spend their lives hiding from the truth about themselves. Trading forces you to face it every single day in the most tangible way possible, through money. Lost money means you're out of alignment somewhere. Made money means you're in alignment somewhere. The market is $1 million mirror, and you can't look away. Douglas spent the rest of his life teaching traders that the journey isn't about finding the perfect strategy. It's about becoming someone capable of executing any strategy. It's not about predicting the market. It's about predicting yourself. It's not about being right. It's about being consistent. It's not about control. It's about acceptance. And most of all, it's not about the market at all. It never was. From the day Douglas stood in that empty house with nothing left, to the day he coached his last student, his message never changed. The market doesn't beat you. You beat you. But that means you can also save you. And that's the only edge that matters. The trader you are today is not the trader you'll be tomorrow, unless you choose to stay the same. The choice, as it has always been, is yours.
At the end of it all, Mark Douglas didn't just change how people trade. He changed why they trade. Because the real battlefield was never the charts. It was the mind behind the mouse. He proved that every loss, every blown account, every emotional spiral isn't punishment from the market. It's feedback from the mirror. And that mirror doesn't lie. It shows you your fear, your greed, your need to be right. But it also shows you your potential, the trader you could become if you're brave enough to face your own reflection. So the next time you sit in front of your charts, ask yourself, am I trading the market or am I trading myself? Because as Douglas taught us, you don't control the market. You control you. And that's where freedom and fortune begin. At the end of all this, if this story moved you, inspired you, or made you think differently about trading, do me a favor. hit that like button, drop a comment below and tell me, what's the hardest psychological battle you've faced as a trader? And subscribe so you never miss more stories that go beyond the charts. Stories about mindset, mastery, and the real truth behind success. Because in the end, the market doesn't make you rich, you do.